the rubbles of the houses and the waves would hit other buildings, and that had expanded, enlarged the damage of tsunami. And this is a footage of Rikuzen Takada. Looking at this footage, we can see that it's not only the water, but the water pushes the buildings, and that hits the other buildings, and you can see that the damage increases here. But from Miyagi to Fukushima, there is a long, flat coastline. It's flat. So from the sea, there is field, agricultural field and farm. It's very flat. So as was shown in the simulation, in the Sendai Bay, the waves reflected and repeatedly hit, and so the waves reached as deep as 10 kilometers inland to this flat area. You can see the tsunami waves have attacked inland to 10 kilometers or even more. And so, and all we can see that are left in that area are just the foundation of the buildings, and everything is washed away. Now, this is the second morning since the earthquake.
Emergency shelter, people were desperately searching for the names of family members in the evacuees list.
My husband hasn't come here yet. He left home a little later than me. Our house was swept away.
I'm looking for my son's wife. I have no idea which shelter she is in.
Residents rushed to the Soma City Hall in Fukushima Prefecture, seeking information about the whereabouts of loved ones.
My son might have been engulfed by the tsunami. I hope he is taking shelter somewhere. I'm struggling to locate him.
A massive fire broke out on Friday in Kesen-Numa City, Miyagi Prefecture. Smoke was still billowing on Saturday morning. Firefighters had a difficult time battling the blaze as they had to evacuate every time a tsunami struck. In the coastal town of Shinchi in Fukushima, a tsunami swept train cars off the tracks. All passengers and crew were reportedly safe as they had evacuated in time. Some people were rescued by helicopter.
I'm so lucky to have survived.
I'm relieved to see him again, but I can't rejoice completely because people are still waiting to be rescued.
Rescue work is picking up speed. Firefighters, police, and self-defense force personnel are working to find and rescue survivors across the quake-ravaged areas.
NHK World's Roger Pradhan earlier spoke to us while heading to the disaster area.
Yes, I'm right at Ichinoseki town. It's about 50 kilometers from to where we're heading. It's called Kesen-Numa, a major fisheries port on the eastern Pacific coast of Japan, which was severely hit by Friday's quake. Transportation-wise, we departed Tokyo at 11 a.m. local time yesterday morning, and which would normally take 7 hours, took us 17 hours, and we arrived where we are now at 4 a.m. local time in the morning. And the long detour was due to roadblocks, which was caused by damages from the quake on Friday. And basically what we noticed on the way here was that many stores that we stopped by, they were lacking equipment which was related to the lifeline, and such as garbage bags, masks, batteries, and also preserved foods such as canned foods. And also we realized there were power outages in several areas across our route, and which had no electricity and no water available when we used the bathrooms, and also hotels and lodges nearby. I also checked out near where I am at the moment, and there were many people stranded there for shelters, and they were also checking the news all the time on TV. Also, mobile phones were restricted. We communication at certain of no exception. And finally, as we got closer and closer to the devastated area, we started to see signs of devastation, destruction by the quake, with shattered windows and broken walls of houses.
Many NHK reporters were on the ground when a powerful tsunami hit coastal cities right after the massive quake. This is how things unfolded in the city of Kamaishi in Iwate Prefecture.
At 3 p.m. Friday afternoon, Kamaishi City Hall issued a tsunami warning. Residents quickly evacuated their homes, looking for higher ground. These people managed to get to this hilltop. Mothers held on tightly to their children. They listened anxiously to the radio for more information.
港の境を越えて水が今入り込んできています。
At 3:11, a massive tsunami swept through the city.
Sendai Airport in Miyagi Prefecture is located about 1 kilometer away from the coast. It was devastated by tsunami. A witness tells us how severe it was.
This is Mr. Hodaka Kojima. After the tsunami warnings were issued, he was at the airport university and was watching the tsunami waves hit the airport.
Says that he thought that the airport had landed and he was on the runway, and there was no sound, but the cars and the airport just drifted. So I just thought that we should keep it in the video, and this is the video that I took. And so it was really sickening, as if a swarm of...
We interrupt this report amid the government's Nuclear and Industrial Safety Agency is right now explaining the situation at the nuclear power plants.
At 5:38, the number 3 reactor at the power plant has seen an incident happening which required us to issue a Article 15 notice under the Nuclear Disaster Special Measures Law. And this is the material that explains that situation. So the notice was received, and after this notice is issued, under the Nuclear Disaster Special Measures Law, usually we go on to prepare a declaration of the emergency situation. However, already from the same power plant, a nuclear emergency situation has been declared. Therefore, we did not issue an additional declaration or issue additional orders for evacuation because already people were evacuated from the vicinity. And if you can refer to the handout materials, at Tokyo Electric Power Company, as was explained during the morning briefing, and the number 3 reactor at the Fukushima number 1 plant, unlike number 1 and number 2 reactor, it's not RCIC, but a high-pressure cooling system was utilized for this reactor. And the cooling went well. The pressure was eased. So the high-pressure pressure system was no longer functioning. Therefore, the low-pressure coolant injection system was looked at as a replacement. However, this also wasn't an option. Therefore, what we need is to restore the power generators. And for this, the power generator and also the water injection system, I believe it's just like with the number 1 reactor. It's a low-pressure system, which is usually used for fire extinguisher. We use a tank to inject water, which can be done without power. So that was the measure initially taken. And we were able, or we are now trying to restore the